All right, guys. Big weekend. Not a local footy, obviously, but I know many of you would have enjoyed gather round as much as I did. And yeah, I know it'd be nice to be umpiring this week, but obviously Easter's happening. So I did get three or four people contact me last Tuesday wondering where their appointment was. There won't be appointments going out this week either. So, all right. I am going to look forward to round two because we have Easter Monday next Monday. There won't be any Zoom next week. So we do have some milestones to acknowledge for round two. A couple of 50 gamers, a couple of boundary umpires, Archie Spear and my lad Billy. So well done to Archie and Billy for getting to 50 games. 100 game to Andrew Barkell, the goal umpire with the biggest laugh there is. He was pretty excited about getting 100, so well done, Andrew. And a huge milestone, 700 for someone that's on the Zoom right now. Well done to Ian Gore for hitting 700. So, Gorey, that's a massive achievement considering you only do one game a week. A lot of these other guys like to do a couple and get there a bit quicker. But yeah, 700 games is a mighty effort. So well done. So we've got training this Wednesday night again for the field and boundary umpires at our new venue. Goal umpires are having the week off leading into Easter, but I thought field and boundary would be quite keen to still train. It's up to you, but be good to have a run before heading into Easter. I'm not going to put it in the coaching notes, but I'll just mention it here. It's the last time for those that want to have a crack at the 3K time trial. So yeah, just across the road at the Adelaide Uni Loop for those that want to have one last go. Now, because the round two, obviously not this weekend, but next weekend is over the weekend of Anzac Day. Friday is Anzac Day and Saturday is the 26th of April. We've got a mix of games on. I've done some calculations this end. We've got all the women's games are on Saturday. That's 27 women's games. We've got 72 men's games on Saturday. So the majority of men's games are on Saturday, but we do have 29 men's games on the Friday being Anzac Day. So for the rest of the year, you only have to worry about your leave for Saturdays. But I'm asking for round two. If you're unavailable either Friday or Saturday, make sure you put your leave in. So I want to get those that aren't available on Saturday to run on Friday and vice versa. There is a port game on the Saturday afternoon. So if you're keen to do that, good weekend to block it out and I'll make sure you get a run on the Friday. And because of the split, it does make it easier for me to fill the games. And I've said it many times, I don't like doing back-to-back A and B grade games. I know there are a few that like doing that, but my aim is, and I'm pretty confident, not to have anyone doing A and B grade men's games. So if you like doing back-to-back, you'll have to do C grade into B grade. But yeah, because of the split, it allows me to get everyone to be fresh for the A grade games. Just a note about dangerous tackles. I've been thinking about this recently. We've had a journey with it, as I've talked through before. When I first came on board, I realised we had a problem. But obviously with the Adelaide Footy League crackdown and since then the AFL crackdown and the discussion on concussion, it's actually been a big shift in the football community's standards and expectations and sentiment. So we just have to be aware of that when we're out umpiring. And what I mean by that is there's going to be some angst. It used to be there was angst if we would take action sometimes. There was that thought around, tackling's just part of the game and, like, what are we doing, penalising, even pulling a red card out. We copped a lot of flack when we took a strong stance there. It's actually turning the other way now. If we don't take action, that's where we're copping the flack now. So my coaching direction to deal with that is, so this is the whole err on the side of. So there are times where you're just going to see a dangerous tackle and you will know instantly what you have to do to deal with it. But if you're in any doubt, I want you to err on the side of taking stronger action. So, but what I mean by that is if you're unsure whether to pay a free kick or not to pay a free kick, pay a free kick. If you're unsure whether to pay a free kick or issue a yellow card, issue a yellow card. And if you're unsure whether to issue a yellow card or issue a red card, issue a red card. Where we're copying flack on occasions at the moment is when someone gets concussed from a dangerous tackle and we haven't given a red card. So we can't wait and see whether someone's got concussion to determine whether we're getting, giving a red card. We have to act on the action, not the result. But as I said, if you're not sure which way to go, just lean on the side of taking the stronger action. Does that all make sense? It's always a tricky area, but the one last night with the Port game was an interesting one. Holding the ball was paid because it was arm free, but the head hit the ground. I don't mind that holding the ball was paid there because I don't think the action really warranted a dangerous tackle. But if I was umpiring that, I probably would have paid a free kick because it was that borderline, was it a free kick or holding the ball? If that makes sense. They haven't suspended that Hawthorn player. I think it was Nick Watson, wasn't it? And I agree with that assessment. But yeah, again, if there's anything that concerns you about a dangerous tackle, at least pay a free kick. As I said before, if we're not taking action, we're going to cop flack these days, where it used to be the other way around a few years ago. All right. So any questions on any of that? Anything that came out of the weekend? Anything that anyone wants to discuss at all? We didn't really get to discuss footy from round one Adelaide Footy League. So now's your chance before we move on to the next topic. No? There might have been something from the weekend that someone wanted to discuss. We didn't really get a chance to, it seems like a long time ago now, the Isaac Rankin missed free kick last week. My take on that, it's a little bit along lines of what I talked about pre-season at our session. The AdFL umpires position themselves to have different angles. And if they're told if they're not 100% certain on a free kick not to pay it and allow someone else to pay it if in a better view. I think in that particular instance, the controlling umpire wasn't in a good position. He was caught front on. And I guess when you're describing an incident and what an umpire should do, you've got to be careful that you don't blanket it so to think like that's the way it should be for every situation. What I mean by that is what happened in that missed free kick could happen very similarly and it wouldn't be a free kick. And the way the umpire probably saw that instant was that the player was late to the contest and that a spoil took place. And obviously it was more than a spoil. It was a wraparound tackle, really. But from their angle, they've called play on believing the spoil was okay. So I guess what I'm saying in that instance, if you're in any doubt, if you're caught out of position and you're not sure whether it's in a marking contest, a free kick or a fair spoil, I would err on the side of rewarding the player that's first to the ball and penalising the player that's late to the marking contest. So I'm not saying every time a player is late to the marking contest, pay a free kick, but in that instance, the umpire would have been thinking, is that a legitimate spoil or not? And wasn't in a position to decide. And because AFL, they let it go if they're not 100% certain. I think in our position, if we're caught out of position and we're not sure, you err on the side of the player that's taking the mark. Does that make sense? I did say a hand up now. Who's Howie?
That's me, Colin. I don't know why it says Howie, but there you go.
Great, mate.
G'day. I was at the Sydney Collingwood game on Friday night.
Hey, Howard, before you go on, I just had a smart-ass comment from a Port supporter, Matt Smith, saying we should let it go. If Rankin took the mark, it wouldn't have been an issue. Wah. He only didn't take the mark because he got tackled in the marking contest. So it was actually deemed that it could have been paid a mark. So anyway, I didn't want to sound like a Crows supporter whinging, Smitty. It was a learning from us that in that situation, I would hope that we would think differently to what the AFL umpire thought. That's why I brought it up. But fire away, Howard.
Yep. Okay. So Sydney Collingwood game, very last kick of the match was, I think it was actually a Sydney kick at goal. And to me, it looked like it flicked the hands of the Collingwood defenders and went through for a point.
Yes.
But quite curiously, the field umpire kind of ruled that it was a dead. They didn't give the all clear, didn't score the point. And I guess just for the benefit of all of us, can we just re-clarify what is, I thought, if it was punched through and assisted deliberately, it was not a point, but if it just flicks the hands or whatever, then it should have been given a point. Yep. Don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, no, I was there and I saw it and I took note of it. And I thought that's interesting how they're saying that. So obviously, yes, if you see it the way you described it, it's a point. But if you believe it's been assisted through by the attacking side, that the attacking side is just trying to get a point out of it when it wasn't necessarily going to go through for a point, then you do not give the all clear. And that's what the umpire ruled it at the time. So yes, if a defender punches it through, it's a point. If the attacking side punches it through, like they're essentially, trying to get a score where it might not have been a score, then it's not.
Then it's not
real clear. Yeah.
Okay.
So
thank
whether you agree with the AFL umpire's assessment or not, it's irrelevant for the discussion. It's just, making sure that you're aware of what you need to do at the time in a similar situation. Yeah.
Cheers.
Thanks, Howie. I don't think I've ever heard you, Howie.
I have to change that setting, I think.
No, all good. All good. Yeah, it's just Sean. Sean's opening.
Hi, mate. Sorry, I've been late. My apologies. Not tardiness is dreadful. I didn't quite understand what you just talked about then. My understanding was in our league that if it was rushed through, it's still it's a point. But
we're talking about the kick happens and the siren goes before it then is either touched or assisted through.
Okay.
And so yes, don't get mixed up with a normal play where we don't pay deliberate rush. Yep. It's always it's that situation. Yeah, sorry, we didn't probably describe it well. Yeah, where the siren's gone. And then it's basically if the attacking side punches it through to basically get a score, then it's no score. But if the defending side punches it through, it is a score. And if it just comes off hands, as Howard thought it did, it should have been a score. Yeah. If it's just flicks the hands and then goes through. Yeah. Thanks for the clarification. Important that you all understand exactly what we're saying, Mark. You're unmuting yourself, mate. Did you want to?
Yes, I was just wondering why Rioli got 2 goals.
Oh, good question.
What was the decision? I know he got the push in the back, but if he got the push in the back before the umpire would have called the all clear. So
this is a really interesting one because I was around when there was a tweak to the rule. It used to be that if the ball was kicked through for a goal, and before the all clear was given to the goal umpire, something happened, there wouldn't be an extra free kick. The rule was changed to basically protect the player from copping what Rioli copped. In that there needed to be a consequence last night. So the rule is now once the ball crosses the line, even if it's before the all clear was given, if the ball crosses the line and then an infringement occurs, that's where you pay a free kick. And so Craig Fleer, South Australian lad who's done a couple of grand finals, excellent, strong umpiring. Of course, Willie sort of sucked the Hawthorn player in by doing what he did beforehand, but still there was no need for the Hawthorn player to do what he did. So it was clearly a double goal. Definitely the correct free kick. I've got an interesting take on that one, but I'll save that for the quiz. There's lots of hypotheticals, all the grey, like the blue mooners that come up from a situation like that. But yeah, I actually don't know the answer to what I'm trying to think of what would happen, and I'm going to sound it out and put it in the quiz for a bit of discussion, but that can come later in the year.
Ali. Hey, Colin. Yeah. Just on that one. Now, if that was to happen in an Adelaide Footy League game, someone waltzes into goal and then gets shoved after the kick, that would be within our rights to also pay a subsequent kick on goal.
Yeah, 100%. I'd have to find what rule it is in the rule book, but as far as I'm aware, it's definitely a rule. It was in the rule book. I know they've done a couple of tidied up the rule book in recent times, but I'll see if I can find it. But as far as I'm aware, it's definitely in the rules.
I think I don't know if I know. Well, I was at the game last night. I don't know if you were there at that one, Colin, but I think the commentary, if you go back and listen to BT, I think it was pretty extraordinary. They were absolutely going nuts at that particular point. It's quite entertaining.
Yeah. Commentators don't understand the rules more often than not. So now, who is Anzono Club?
Oh yeah, it's me.
Sammy?
That's I don't know why that comes up. We have Zoom meetings at our club, and obviously I sign in with that. Hey, just to confuse people, you're 100% right what you said.
Yeah.
I guess the other take on that, I hope I'm not. This isn't part of your question for next week, but so the part where you said the all clear, so that still applies if it's a free kick to a defender. Okay, so same scenario.
So basically, once the ball crosses the line, if there's an infringement, then a free kick can be paid. Now, obviously, if the free kick is going to the attacking side, it's like what Willie Rioli got, and it's another shot at goal. If it's a free kick to the defending side, the free kick is back in the middle, because that's where the ball is going to.
Yeah, but so what I'm not talking about.
So the ball has crossed the line, so you're still giving.
Ball's crossed the line. It's a goal.
Yeah. So you still give the.
You haven't given the all clear. You haven't given the all clear, and the defender gets attacked or whatever.
Yeah.
Then there's no score.
No. So what I'm saying is, if the ball has crossed the line and then an incident occurs, you give the all clear and give a free kick back in the middle. But if you're not sure whether the ball has crossed the line or not, I would say stuff them, don't give the all clear, and just pay the free kick at the spot at where the infringement.
Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's a difference when you start talking about all clear. And the ball crossing the line. There's an actual difference if it's a defender or a forward player. So no difference. There's no all clear. Doesn't matter what you say if it's a forward, but if it's a defender, then it's critical.
Okay. I get what you're saying. You haven't given the all clear, so therefore
free kick to defender, no score.
Let me sound that one out, because it's a really interesting question. Really interesting question. I'll have to have a look at the rule book.
Yeah. So the all clear comes into play for only if it's a defender. So it doesn't really.
I do get what you're saying. Let me sound it out. It'd be a nice one to save for the quiz, but if it happens before then, I'd be a bit annoyed. So I probably need to tell you next time we have a Zoom. All right, leave that with me. Hey, we're getting into a few different rules, etc., which has been good discussion. But I do have something else to talk about tonight. I don't want to lose time to talk about it. So we did do the Tackle Your Feelings session last week, which I hope some of you, or all of you, found useful. I think mental health is, massive these days. Have self-awareness for yourself about your mental health and staying, self-aware and dealing with things as they come along, but also having an understanding of what others are going through. I think it's really important. So Matt Lucas, the psychologist, is talking about the 3 different phases thriving when you feel on top of things and really achieving things, coping where you're dealing with all the day-to-day issues, but like there's some struggles and some things holding you back from thriving, and then that struggling phase of really battling through whatever it is that's really concerning you. So you just don't know where someone's at on a day-to-day basis. So when you're dealing with players or other umpires, etc., just have in the back of your mind that people and different phases of their life and things might be affecting differently. And I just I've invited 3 people to come to the Zoom tonight to talk about, and you could all talk about your challenges and how you deal with them. And we all have them in our lives. But I've got 3 umpires. A couple of them have dealt with quite recent traumatic events, and the other one probably about 3 or 4 years ago. But Barry Lewis, did you want to unmute yourself, mate? And some of you may not be aware of what Barry's gone through lately. And I've asked Barry to come on and share his experiences. Barry, you just need to unmute yourself so we can hear you.
All done?
Yeah, mate.
Can you hear me?
Yep, can you hear
Okay.
you? Fire away, mate.
Yep.
Just give everyone a bit of insight to what you've been through lately.
Okay. Well, 3 years ago, I went to a specialist about my heart, where there was a bit of a problem with the bottom chamber, and he just had me on tablets, etc., etc. But then last August, I was umpiring at Para Hills, and I was just running, well, moving fast across the oval, and I just fell face forward onto the ground. I thought, I didn't know what happened, but I knew I'd fell down. So I turned around, and then I was umpiring with Simon Johnson. Then it was my turn to get across to the half forward line to take the kick or take the play. And as I was running across there, I suddenly couldn't stop running. I just couldn't stop myself. And I fell flat on my face because I had my whistle in the right hand, and that cut all my forehead out, nose open. They got a ambulance, and the ambulance took a fair while to come there, but the lass who's the trainer for Mawson Lakes was there, and she said, "No, you've had a fall, and you've obviously been a bit unconscious. I'm a nurse, blah blah blah, and I'm getting an ambulance." I said, "Well, I don't think I need an ambulance. I'm okay now." In the meantime, Colin heard about it, so he pulled me out of the women's game. I was doing the next one. So I waited for the ambulance. It took some time. They checked me over, and they said, "Now,
sorry, Barry.
beg your pardon?"
I was just saying, I had to be quite insistent that you didn't umpire that women's game.
So anyway, you were absolutely adamant I wasn't going to umpire it, yeah. So anyway, they said to me, "Look, yeah, is it coming through still?"
Yeah, we're seeing your face frozen, but we're hearing you okay. Hey, Barry, we've got 2 others, and we're running out of time.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just cut to the part of the story about lately. So you obviously needed to get a pacemaker end of last year,
yep.
and you got that procedure done. Yeah, and let's talk about what happened recently.
Yep. Got the pacemaker in September. Got called back in when he said the wires aren't right, and I went in here a fortnight ago to Ashford. He said, "I'm going to have to dig the wires in again, screw them in." I went in, and while I was in the theatre, he connected the wires, but then apparently, as I was being wheeled out, the wire dropped out again. And he said, I remember him saying, "Get him in, get him in." Well, I was gone. The heart had stopped, and they raced me in. I can remember they put ice packs on my chest, under my back, under my legs, but they got the pump going to get the heart going again. And while it was happening, what I felt was like a big circular saw was on my chest, going round and round and round, and shooting pains every time it got a certain extent. And the anaesthetist told me afterwards, he said, you were gone, you know. It was good that we had the best team here and they brought you back. So I had to think about that. I mean, there I was, supposed to be under anaesthetic, and I was awake and aware of what was going on. And then he put two new wires in. He pulled the old pacemaker out and put a new one in, put the new wires in. And then he told me, I was in hospital for 3 days, and then he came in, he said, "You can go home now." He said, "You're all right now." I said, "You told me that a year ago." But anyway, I got to tell you, my daughter said, "Did you see the other side, Dad?" Well, I don't remember, but I certainly remember that I thought I was gone.
Yeah, mate, very traumatic event. How's that affected you? Like, I get your emotions and your mental state. How have you coped with that side of things?
Well, I'm alive and going all right, so I've sort of put it behind me now. And on I go. I go to see the specialist on Wednesday. He's going to give me another assessment on how the new one's going. He'll recheck and all that. But I've sort of put it past me now and said, "There you go. Live on."
Thanks, Barry. I appreciate the fact you shared your story. There'll be more that people would want to ask you, I'm sure. I did, as I said, I've got a couple others that just wanted to talk a little bit about traumatic events in their lives. But yeah, we're thinking of you, mate, and we're hoping to see you out there sooner than later. And yeah, all the best with that recovery.
See you Wednesday.
Now, Rob Kane, you want to unmute yourself?
Yep. Howdy, Cole.
So not something quite so recent, but more recently you've written a book about it. So just talk a little bit about your story, mate. And for those that don't know, I'm sure they'll find that interesting.
Yeah, I guess I just want to sort of preface it. So something last week resonated with me a lot, and that there's a difference between coping and thriving, because a lot of the time I actually think I'm thriving when actually I'm just sort of in first gear and not really doing that. And for me, it's routine that gets me between coping and thriving. It's easy to come home and have 2 beers or not go for a jog and be the best person you can be. But if you get into that routine, I feel like that's where thriving really takes over for me, particularly. I also believe that you've got a choice. So it might not feel like when something terrible happens or mentally you're not quite there, it definitely feels like you don't have a choice. But ultimately, you do have a choice on how you cope, how you manage, who you tell, what you eat and drink, and any self-sabotaging behavior. So in saying that, that's what I got from last week. My backstory is Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I've written this little book. That was a choice of mine to put myself out there to the world and talk about how I coped and the choices I made. So I remember when I really thought that I was in trouble, I was actually umpiring a SANFL reserves game, and it was 3/4 time, and the whole world went black. I had a massive dizzy spell, and what was happening was I had a tumor the size of a hamburger growing on top of my heart, and I had all the lymph nodes in my neck along the carotid arteries, just sort of preventing blood flow. I remember driving to Stansbury later that night with my soon-to-be wife, and I just felt something sticking out of my neck, and that's when I realised I'm in a bit of strife here. I've either got a cyst or something a little bit worse, like a thyroid cancer of some sort. So the book talks about that whole journey. I guess from a mental health perspective, me as a guy, and I don't know how many other people sort of relate to this, but you definitely don't think about your mental health that often. And then there will be something that happens. Like for me, it's listening to music, certain songs with lyrics, sort of, especially when I was going through treatment, would just set me off, like full emotional sort of episodes. And that's when I sort of realized in particular that maybe I'm not okay. And that's when I challenged myself. Okay, well, how do I change, such a sad state into something really positive. So there are a couple of little philosophies I've got, and it's the book is really well set out. Like there's a contents page and it talks about all the coping mechanisms. So one of them's taking things one step at a time and not being overwhelmed by just the calamity of the situation. There's another one in finding your special place. So for me, it's down at the end of Grange Road on a little stone wall at the beach. And I remember after the GP told me that, the diagnosis of what was happening, that's where I went. And I just sat there and I gave my dad a call and thought about what my next step would be. And I think that there's something in telling people as well that I remember telling my dad it was the hardest thing I've ever done, and then went to mum's and told her. And then by the time I was telling, my best mate and other friends and my wife, it was getting a little bit easier every time to tell the story. Obviously, still really difficult. And then I guess the last little piece there's lots of advice in the book from exercise through to chemo nutrition, and how to avoid like all of the secondary medicines and whatnot. But I think focusing on positives and not negatives is a real key piece as well. Like there's a lot that you can't change. There's a lot that you need to recognize that you can't change, but there are definitely choices that you can make. So that's my journey with Hodgkin's lymphoma. I think it's brought the best out of me. And what's really nice is that I've got a story and a book and all the coping mechanisms written down so my kids, my grandkids can have a copy of it for generations.
Yeah, brilliant. Rob's given an offer, a reduced price for any umpire that wants to buy a book, $20 hard copy. He's going to have some copies on Wednesday night. So if you're interested in getting Rob's book, he's going to have some there on Wednesday night. Okay, Smitty, Matt Smith. Can we keep it brief, mate? I've got a video I wanted to show before we wind up. We haven't got much time left. So, but you've had a very traumatic event that you're happy to share with.
Yep. So 4 weeks ago, on the cricket field, one of the guys who is part of our club passed away. You might have seen in the news, it was a player in their 40s. I play for the club, had about 20 phone calls in 2 minutes. It hit Adelaide now. It wasn't me. I was in Brisbane, but it was a close mate of ours, a Pakistan lad. It was a heat days, 42 degrees, really, really hard. And I suppose the thing I wanted to mention is that there's support out there, like our club supported each other. You can't predict anything, you can't plan for it, but we had a lot of our older players that were just there to support. A lot of young kids that were out there batting at the other end or things like that were doing it really tough. So probably my perspective and takeaway after last week was that to survive and to cope, you've got to talk about it. You've got to support each other. We had lots of hugs, lots of tears. Professional support was available, and you all know me. I like a joke and everything like that, but I needed to go and see someone and talk about it. And for me, that was really, really important. So, and the thing about that is that sport, it could happen on any of our cricket, any of our footy fields or anything like that. So, you got to just support each other. And for me, the proudest that I am is our cricket club supported each other, supported the family, and really did try and just support each other through lots of hugs, lots of tears, and wearing black armbands. We were able to win a couple of premierships, which doesn't mean anything. It's actually just that for us, we played in our mates' honour, and that was a really special thing. So, to reach out and support and use the networks that are there, especially when something like that happens, which is a tragedy, and it's instant and it's on field, and impacts each other. So there's good support through our network, and well done to Rob and Baz for sharing their stories.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I know you could go into a lot more, but the reason why I did want to just cut you a little bit short is I really wanted to play. Some of you may have seen this, the podcast that occurred just the last few days, and Harry Mackay talking about his mental health. And while we've had discussions on very traumatic events, the thing that Harry talks about is he actually didn't have a traumatic event. He just started feeling really like he was in a bad place. So I'll just play this now. And so you don't need a traumatic event to have an issue with your mental health. We don't want to see sports ads, sorry. These websites do give us a lot of unnecessary adverts. Yes, let's avoid the sport bet. I did play this before to get rid of this, but maybe what I'll do, because that looks like it's okay.
AFL footy.
We might not be able to play this. I'm getting an issue here. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll share the link in the coaching notes. Have a look at what Harry has to say. And he basically just said that he realized, even though he had everything going for him, that he needed help. And I may still be able to play it. If not, I'll just put it in the coaching notes. If not, if the Zoom runs out of time, which we're getting to. This is going well. All right. Oh. All right, let's have another go.
Late Feb, started feeling in not a great place mentally, and I think the most challenging part of that was me thinking I shouldn't be feeling the way I was, and everything in my life, to be really honest, was in such a great place. Football club, loved my teammates so much, was in a great place. In terms of footy, most beautiful, loving partner and family, so supportive. Everything in my world was in such a great place. And as I mentioned, that's why it was really scary, didn't make a lot of sense. And I guess you'd say it was really irrational to feel like that. And I guess as that progressed and unfortunately feeling in a worse and worse spot, I felt like I had to put on a bit of a facade, to pretend to be okay when I really wasn't.
Put on a mask sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. And that was really hard, especially as someone, as you'd know, I guess as a male, and someone who would hang their hat on always turning up, being stoic, pushing through.
Yeah.
I had to put my hand up and say I needed some help. And since the moment I did that, the support and the love has been so profound, and everyone's ability to be able to shed some light on what's been happening and a bit more understanding on this world has been really important.
All right, so the Zoom is about to finish, but yeah, just message it's okay not to be okay. Please reach out to your mates, to other umpires. If you need that help, it's there for you. We're a group that should support each other. And yeah, thanks for sharing those stories, guys, that came on. And enjoy